recording? Yes. Okay. Thank you everyone for joining. We are calling this Unveiling CRM Analytics Expert Tips and Tricks for Enterprise Solutions. For those of you who just joined us, please tell us where you're joining from, your knowledge base on CRM Analytics, and at the end, when we have some time left, you can share your tips and tricks as well. Sorry. But Jennifer is she's my co-host for hosting the Trailblazing Analytics user group for US, and she will be taking care of us and the time and everything while the rest of us here are going to present. Yep, that's you. Our presenters today are Roman, who will introduce himself, of course. Thank you for joining.
Ooh, clap, clap, clap.
Phillip, some of you know Phillip, some of you don't. He is a Tableau ambassador. Myself and Mark, who lives in Sydney, Australia, and it's too early for him to join the call, but he has sent in his slide. So thank you, Mark. Roman, all yours.
He gets silent clap.
And thanks for having me today. My name is Roman Michalik. I'm out of Germany, solution engineer at Salesforce, and working with the solution CRM Analytics since 2014. So I made all the different...
Oh, we got another old school in the house. Woo! Love it.
And I was just thinking about one simple trick I wanted to share today. And this is what I'm going to show in a second. Just let me know as soon as you can see my screen.
We can.
Okay, great. So I've prepared a very simple use case. It seems simple, but the solution might be really sometimes very hard to find. In this case, we have calculated a dynamic win rate per account. So we know this account has a win rate of 60, 70, 80, or maybe 100%. And this is based on historical closed opportunities. And now we want to take this win rate to calculate an expected opportunity amount for currently open opportunities of this account. And the challenge behind is more or less that we have the account win rate based on the account ID, but the more granular opportunity ID, we can't simply connect it very easily. So the technical description behind this, we have to join information from a less granular table, like the account table, to a more granular table because we have more opportunities per account. And this is not possible in this case with a recipe, but on a dashboard level, because we want to do that dynamically. So we want to have, for example, a date filter to limit the time period we are using to calculate this account-based win rate. And to do that, we have quite a simple solution, more or less, for it. On the left, you can see the account ID, the count of rows with or of opportunities which have been won, and the closed opportunities. And then out of that, the win rate has been calculated. On the right, you see opportunity ID, account ID, and the sum of amount. And now we want to join these two. And typically, if you do a co-group, you always have to take care that the granularity is the same. Otherwise, you will get into trouble. But there is a little hack, and that's exactly what I'm going to show you now, which makes it easily possible to join tables with different granularity. So I'm taking from here just a duplication. And from here, from the less granular table, I want to get the information, and this is going to happen in SAQL. So I'm just copying over everything I need. This means the filtering is copied, and then the grouping and the whole calculation. That's something I need. I don't need to have the order and limitations of the final result set in place. So let's just copy this one, and let's go now into our more granular table. And the main part of the trick is happening directly at the beginning, because I'm simply deleting everything after the grouping. So we are grouping by ID and account ID. Now I will rename this stream. And I don't, or I mustn't use a generate statement, because then it's not going to work anymore. So just leave it as it is, just grouping the more granular table. Now we can bring in, oh, what happened? I just want to put this in. So, and now we have this part here, and we can see that it's going to work. It's giving me my information like we have seen before. And now I want to combine these two tables, and that's just another co-group in this case. So we want to group the stream of Q by account ID, and we want to group the Q1 stream, in this case also by account ID, but not by the ID anymore. And this is the second part of the trick, that you can now use just the same keys between the more granular and the less granular table. And now you can generate the table very easily for each final generate. And now we want to get the account ID from the Q stream as account ID, and from the Q1 stream we want to get the ID, and we want to project it maybe into op ID. Then we want to get the average or the maximum or the minimum, whatever you have here. You need to have any kind of aggregation function available. We want to get the average of stream Q, and C is our win rate, the calculation here. That should be as win rate. And then from the Q1 stream, we want to get the first value from Q1 of the field amount, and this should be projected into the amount field. And finally, we can of course do something like taking the win rate and multiply that by the amount, and let's call it expected amount, and that's exactly what we wanted to find out. What is the expected amount here? That's all I have to do, and now you will see, as soon as we have two opportunities for the same account, it's giving me the 100% in this case, and I can calculate the expected amount. Maybe we find something else here, another two opportunities for the same account. So we always get the same values, like here the 0 and so on. So this is the easiest way how to do it.
Roman, I have a question for you.
Yes.
So there may be people in the audience that are newer to SAQL. It's not like the old days, right, where that was like our lifeblood of using Wave. If they were to do this same, I'm going to call this a validations dashboard, because that's what it looks like to me. You have a lot of IDs and a lot of numbers to kind of figure out what you want to use. Could they put SQL in there? Like, for example, could you put SQL and do the same thing? Or is this a completely SAQL equation to get the data to look like this?
I didn't test it, but I would not expect that it's going to work with SQL as well.
Okay, because that's important, because a lot of people are coming over to CRMA right now and they're like, I'm a SQL expert and I'm going to plug my SQL into here, right? And they never learned SAQL. So what would a person do? Do we just copy and paste what you put in here? We need your cheat code to do this, right?
Yeah. I mean, the steps are quite simple. I don't know if that's possible in SQL as well. But
I don't
main,
think it's possible in SQL.
Praveen said it is possible. It can be done in SQL. That's what he says.
But it is probably very complex for most people that are working with this. And the reason I'm asking this is because since this is recorded, if somebody was to look at this and say, oh, SAQL, I haven't made it that far to learn all of this, but I want to do these dashboards because these are super important, right? This is how you see your data. This is how you choose what's going to go in your dashboards. So I think you should paste this formula when you're done for us so that the audience can have it as a template.
Yes, I mean, first of all, it's recorded, and of course I can share the SAQL code afterwards. Somewhere in, I can put it into the chat, or we can share it when we share the recording on LinkedIn or something like that, or just reach out to me. That's another way. And maybe just to wrap it up, it's more or less just 3 little steps. The first one is group the more granular table as requested, and don't use generate statement afterwards. Then co-group the 2 tables on the same common key.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally use the first functions to receive the values from the more granular table, even on the less granular table, and you will see all the data you wanted to have.
This is so much more
This is
efficient.
awesome.
Yeah, it's more efficient because I would approach this. I'm going to make this data set, right? I'm going to go through all the trouble to make a data set that has this data. And sometimes you don't need that, right? Sometimes you just need one widget that has, all of the data that you're looking for in one dashboard. No reason to spend that power to make a data set, right? If you just want to display it somewhere. Sayantani, how many of these do you have built in your org right now?
I have to build this, but I have a ton of use cases where I'm going to do this. But Shubhadeep, you have your hand up.
Roman, I think fantastic.
My question is, why do we not project the Q1 data stream? Like, why are we not generating that?
That's a specific behavior within CRMA. As soon as you project it, then you have it more or less as a real virtual table. And then if you want to co-group it, it will tell you, no, I can't do that. Then you will lose the granularity of the opportunities. That's the main trick, just to group it and leave it in a very specific style, more or less. Don't project it. That's as soon as you do that, it's not going to work anymore.
Leave it hanging. Leave it hanging to group and then do the rest of it.
Okay, I have to try this. But
yes,
I mean, I have done. I mean, not this, but I have worked with like multiple data streams from one data set, and I have co-grouped things which are projected. For each statement. I never had any problem, but maybe this is a different type of use case which I'm not.
This one is basically one stream has 2 fields. So in this case, the opportunity one, your table on the right, opportunity ID and account ID, it has 2 fields you're grouping by, whereas the first one, which is just your account ID, you're grouping it by 1 field. So whenever you try doing a co-grouping or grouping with different number of fields, it says that you cannot do that. So Roman is solving that for us. How do you solve the problem of grouping with different number of fields on each of the groups?
Okay. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Okay, nice.
And typically, of course, you would consider, okay, let's just calculate this information directly in a recipe and then put it to the opportunities. But if you want to make that dynamic, so if you want to apply any kind of filters, like here, let's go into custom, for example, let's look into the future for the open opportunities, and let's just use 1 or 2 quarters back. And you will see that some of the accounts will disappear, and maybe some of the opportunities from the historical data will also disappear. and you might have totally different win rates here. And this is why, just in this specific use case, it wouldn't make sense to do the whole data preparation in the recipe. And there are many other use cases where you want to first calculate anything on a higher aggregation level, and then you want to reuse exactly that result on a more granular level again. And that's the solution here.
This is awesome. Thank you so much, Roman.
Roman, I cannot, for everybody on this call, the value that what you built brings to just watch your data behave. So no matter what I use, I've kind of learned from trial and error to build something similar to yours with all of my data, with the IDs and the totals across, and keep a hidden page in my dashboards of just validations, because users will challenge you, right? How many opportunities do I have? What's that total amount? You always want to keep a validation page. So when you are challenged, you pull your validations up and you show what's going on. Even just simple things like row counts. How many opportunities do I have? Right. So for anybody in the audience that's new, I wish I would have known that when I started, to do validations first, right? And then build fancy later upon your validations, because your audience will be tough. You know, and you always want to have backup to be able to, whatever you've displayed in the dashboard, show the root of it, right? Like where you're getting this data and how it looks. Summaries are fantastic. Roman, that was amazing. Thank you.
That was amazing. Thank you so much, Roman. Phillip.
My pleasure.
Can I share?
Yes, absolutely. All yours.
I'm going to give you another clap.
Thanks, guys. Congratulations, Roma, for the presentation. It was awesome, like always. Hi, everyone. My name is Phillip. I hope you guys know a lot about CRMA. And if you don't, it's not a problem, because that's what we are here for. And today I'm going to present 5 small and fast, quick tips about CRMA that can help you to display the best visualization and the easiest way to interpret your data in a fastest way. Okay, and let's get started. For example, in this first demo right here, we have 2 exactly identical charts. Those are line charts where you can see the opportunity types by the close dates in the x-axis, right? But if we utilize the tooltip, where we can drill down and check each one of the values in each one of our months, as you can see, I have to hover each one of the independent different lines to see the amount. But in the chart below, if I utilize the tooltip, I can see now the 3 metrics regardless of where I hover my mouse. So why does this happen? Because if we check the query itself for each chart, in this chart, we are utilizing 2 groupings. Basically, we have the x-axis, the sum of amount, and we are splitting the lines between different groupings. And this gives us the result where we can only see the value of each respective line. We are hovering our mouse. But in my opinion, this second option is much better, because we can see all the values within the same line. And as you can see, the difference is that here we are not grouping the lines, but instead we are utilizing the compare tables filter to filter the same metrics. It's the sum of amount, like we are doing, but now we are filtering only by this opportunity type, and the same metric only for this opportunity type, and so on and so on. This gives us a much clearer and a much easier way to interpret your line chart for each one of the metrics. But the downside is that you have to, if you have, for example, a pick, in this case, we only have 3 values: the existing customer, the existing customer upgrade and the new customer. But suppose that we have, I don't know, 30 or more values in our categories. We will have to create a filter for each one of those metrics and category to display 30 different lines manually. So uh, it's this is more useful if you have few metrics that you want to display. But as you can see in the tooltip, it will always show all the metrics regardless of which line you are hovering. Okay, so that's tip number one. So you can present your metrics much easier in a line chart utilizing your tooltip. For tip number two, I'd like to present you a common table where we can utilize this interaction selector to sort the table by close date ascending, close date descending, amount, the column on amount ascending, amount, now it's descending, a sorter, simple, straightforward, right? And that we have the sorter, but we also have an option in the query to enable the sorting by clicking on our headers. And each one of them has its own advantages. For example, leaving by clicking on the headers to sort ascending or descending gives you much more freedom because you don't have to create the sorter interaction, and you don't it keeps you much more free to sort your table by just by clicking on the headers. For example, let me open here and we can see that the sorter, by clicking here, we are sorting by name, but with this option, we can maintain and control our null handling. We can specify where we want our null values to be sorted, last, first, or whichever we prefer, you know. But let me show you now what happens when we utilize the header method. If we click, now we are sorting by the opportunity owner, and now by the opportunity name, ascending, descending, exactly like the selector, right? But now if we try to utilize the selector again, it won't work anymore because the header sorter overwrites our logic, any logic that we are applying on our headers. So once we start utilizing the header, we cannot go back to our selector right here. And if you notice also, let's explore our query again. After applying the header sorter, if we check right here, we lost our null handling um, attribute of the sorter. The column header of the property of the sorter doesn't is not how can I say, available for null handling at the moment. So how do I enable or disable this based on what I want? If you click here on the editor mode on the query, you can select here and turn off on or off the sorting in preview mode. This allows you to utilize or the headers or your sorter selector. And so in my this tip is for you guys to think, oh, if I prefer to utilize the headers, so you know, oh, it's more flexible, but I have these limits, the no handling limitation, for example, and the selector. Oh, I have to build a selector, and I will have to disable the query header. Do not utilize both at once. That's my tip for this one. Okay. For the third tip that I'd like to present you, I'd like to show you it's also about sorting, but as you can see, we have two identical bar charts, where we can group for multiple selections. For example, let's group by country and then by type.
Philip, I just have to say for comedic relief here, where were you in 2017 when I was learning this?
And I'm like,
Yeah, I
We
was.
have
yeah,
I,
go to do this, and there's no like, where's this part of CRMA, right?
yeah.
yeah,
I flipped. Where did you find this null last? How did you figure it out?
This is
the-
amazing because
I, wa-
everyone
I
on the
was.
phone needs to look at this because you will run into this at one time or another.
Yeah.
It's because I was playing with it and I was doing this. There was a customer that wanted to sort by specific orders,
Mm.
and we created a sorter for that. But then I noticed, oh, we have the header sorter, and when we started utilizing our header sorter, I noticed that we started seeing all the new values at the top of the
On the
table,
top.
all of them.
Correct.
Yes,
Yeah.
and well, let's apply the null handling right in the query. Let's hard
Mm.
code it. And but I noticed that doesn't matter if you hard code it. If you click on the header sorted anyway, it will erase the null handling part. Then I well, we came back to the selector so we could
Mm.
handle the nulls, right? But it was basically trial and error.
It's amazing.
So you solve this in the dashboard. This is something Sayantani knows many calls, many tiers. I've had to solve on the data level, right? And the data set kind of makes some alternative fields to get around this.
Yep. Yeah.
So you solved it here so you don't have to mess around with your data. This is amazing.
Yeah, I just try to keep the simplest way possible, and like Roman said, sometimes when you want a very dynamic and controllable stuff, you cannot build directly in the recipe because it would be too static for the dashboard. So this is one of the cases since we want to be able to sort by any different columns, and or I cannot hard code it somewhere in the query or the data set. So that this is what I was trying to do with the table with the sorter. Does anyone
I'm
have any?
blown away. I'm looking at all your choices here, and I just love that it's so easy with the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, if there's anyone on this call that hasn't gotten to this part of CRMA yet, when you're building your first dashboards, you have to design. I'm going to just say it. You have to design your own buttons and interactions for the users, right? It's not like Tableau where you throw the chart and Tableau just has all the sorting already on there, and this takes it above like A to Z, right? This takes it above just your normal sorting where a user can just instantly go to what they want to see rather than you having to put 5 more charts on the page.
Correct.
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
this will save you building time by making these filters at the top that you can just make whatever you want. And in the olden days, we would just put like 30 widgets on our page because we didn't know how to do this.
Yeah. Okay. The last three from Philip, which is
Yes.
I'm going to say it outright. These are going to be amazing tips anyway.
This is I'd like to show you again is the sorting problem that previously with the former version of the API queries it was fixed in the user interface, but now uh, I don't see a easy way to overwrite this instead of utilizing a hidden query. That's what I'm utilizing here, but it's a challenge that I'd like to talk about. So notice that we are grouping the same chart by billing country right here, right? But if I select, for example, type, now the sorting is showing always descending order, right? From the highest to the lowest. But as you can see, it's mixing the groups. It's not keeping all of the, for example, only the US from the highest to the lowest, then only Canada from the highest to the lowest, right? And if I select, if I select here, for this query, I was able to do this with a hidden query where you can maintain the groupings and the sorting based on the groupings that you select. And let's show why this happens. If we open this first query right here and we explore it, we will notice that the order is always A, that's the sum of amount, descending. So it will sort from the highest to the lowest value, regardless of groupings, regardless of any uh, other groupings that we may utilize in our query. But for this second example right here, if we notice the sorter, when you select multiple values, to maintain our sorting within the groups, we need to select always the values that we're selecting, except the last one. What do I mean by this? For example, let me start again from this one. If we select the account type, right, we have the account type. So let's check our sorter right here for this query. We have the A descending because we have only a single grouping. Okay, so far so good. We only have a single grouping. So we are sorting only by the metric descending. But if we select a second grouping to maintain the sorting within the first grouping, we need to insert only the first grouping, the account type, which was the first selected within the grouping in ascending order, and then our metric in descending order. So now we are sorting by account type ascending and then by the metric descending, resulting in a correct sorting within the customer group, the type, the account type, customer or partner. So we have from the highest to the lowest, but keeping everything tight within the grouping. And why this is so hard to do? Because we need to exclude always the last selected value from our selectors in the order. For example, if we select all of them now, we to display the correct sorting, we need to exclude the type if it was the last, or the billing, regardless of which one is the last value. And how do we do this? I was able to achieve this by utilizing um, sorry, let me select again, a hidden query that excludes the last selected value by utilizing this replace formula right here. Basically like this. But I cannot utilize this same query because I cannot utilize a self-reference query for interactions. It's a limitation from CRMA. You cannot self-reference the same query in its own bindings, regardless if it's an order or a grouping or etc. So basically, we have the select of our selections. We have the billing country, the type, and the account type, and then we can get the last value by utilizing the value at in our. We have a special data manipulation formula called value at. Let me hidden sorter. There you go, right here. You have value at and -1. -1 gets the last value. So by utilizing a combination of replace and the all the selections within our selection and excluding replacing the last selected value with this value at with null, I was able to only to always get only the to exclude the last grouping from our sorter, maintaining the sort between within the correct groups. In this case, account type and billing countries. So customer, 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 all the customers, and then partner in a descending order. Uh, if anyone has discovered a way to do this in within the same query, I'd love to know because that's something I've been struggling since Salesforce has updated the queries to the new versions.
I
Uh,
know that too. So trying to sort and figure out your parameters, right, is a
mhm,
challenge because you have to keep them separate and can't combine them.
exactly.
Um, yeah. Do you use Tableau at all, Phil?
Yes, a lot, a lot.
So how would you say this compares to like making a parameter? Tableau kind of auto sorts already for you compared to CRMA.
Yeah, but
So
it sorts automatically, but always depend on some kind of uh, or the dimension. For example, you have to create a parameter for the sorting and insert within the view, and then
yeah,
eliminate the because you can get several bars within the one access per sorting. So you need to clear the bars. It's a little bit more complicated to dynamically sort in Tableau, in my opinion. And the parameters are also much more limited because in Tableau you can all the parameters are only one value selection. You cannot
I
select.
I agree 100%. And so for everyone in the audience, I want to make sure that I'm including people who are new, who are looking at this, that will get there and you know, you won't know you're here until you have a use case and you go to do this and then you say, "Oh, I can't do that," right? And so I'll give everybody in here like a really easy visual way to understand what's happening. Imagine you had a pick list on your chart that could say, show me everything without zeros. Show me everything last quarter, but one pick list that shows all the ways you would want to see this data in this chart. It's not an easy build. It's you have to in Tableau you would have to make 100 formula fields, right, to feed that.
Exactly.
And CRMA, the way that you've done it here for what you have been able to do, you've simplified it down to just like four things. So for people that are watching this, that are just getting their, hands dirty in here, we will have this recorded so you can come back when you hit this use case. But I will say everyone hits this use case. Everyone
Exactly.
does. If you get a user that wants, and usually somebody who's sponsoring you, right? And in your case, you had a customer who will come in and say, I want this data a way that nobody thought about when you were originally building it. And Sayantani, how many times do I say, you won't, users don't know what they want until they work with the data. They might tell you to build a dashboard a certain way, but until they see that data, then the magic happens, right? Then they
Mhm.
say, oh, but I want this, this, and this. So you have to also learn the power of no and know
Yep.
your limitations.
Yep.
So Philip,
Another
what?
awesome trick from Philip.
Sorry.
Yeah. So, oh, sorry.
I said
No, no,
another
go on,
awesome
please.
trip from another awesome tip from Philip.
Philip, what would you recommend as far as, you're building this, you're a consultant, right? Somebody tells you to do it and you build it. How do you recommend on the personal level for everybody here when you're taking orders, right? Like for example, even if you're at with one set of data at a singular company, where do you put the brakes on this? Would you say only do five things in here? Like, because you could actually make that pick list go a mile down.
Exactly. Exactly. But I usually try to. That's actually a good question, but I try to limit because uh, otherwise, in not in CRMA not so much, but in Tableau, each computation, each calculation makes the dashboard runs considerably slower, especially when we're utilizing lots of calculated fields that you are creating on the worksheet, etc., etc. So I always my approach for Tableau is to always avoid at most I can the calculations done in the dashboard level, in the worksheet level. I always try to pre-compute my calculations, apply the filters in the data source level, because I in my best experience, Tableau's engine, queries engine, is much slower than CRMA, and I think I never seen one as fast as CRM Analytics query
I
engine. You know?
100% agree with that. And
Yeah.
Sayantani knows that I personally love the engineering behind these products because CRMA kind of has its own engine. Even though it's within Salesforce, it has an independent engine. Once your data gets over here, it's not hitting API, assuming you don't have live data, right? If you have just static data,
Exactly.
it's just using this engine. It's not hurting your instance. It's not hitting governor limits. When you hook Tableau up to anything, it's popping off like thousands of queries on the back end. And in the world of tokens and costs, your cost to run the same data on Tableau is going to be significantly higher.
Hmm.
Uh, so for everybody here, that's going to be our future, right? As the rug gets pulled out from under us, data is going to cost you no matter what you do. So this is a super efficient, cost-friendly way of power sorting your data without, spending a lot of money on the back end or resources. Um, and I get nerded out at that part, right? I'm like, this is so efficient. But trust me, that will help everybody in the long run because you don't want somebody coming down on you later and saying, oh my gosh, you ran this huge bill up, right? And if you're using Tableau Next, that comes from Data Cloud. And so even though it's CRMA ish, right?
Ish.
Like a
Yeah.
combination. That's the best way I'm going to say it.
Yep.
Um,
We call
you're
it
still
CRMA-ish.
you're spending tokens. So using native CRMA, how you're doing it, this is basically free. It's just your licenses, right? Once your data
Yeah.
is there. So it's super
Exactly.
important.
Exactly.
Okay, nerd rant over.
Okay. Last tip
Uh,
from Philip.
I have do you want me to pass to the last one? Okay.
You
I ha-
no,
I
do
had
both.
no.
Both.
Okay, it's up to you. I don't want
Yes,
to.
Are we
I don't want
playing
to take any
Tetris? That
time.
looks like Tetris.
correct.
I want
You're doing both.
this one is really good because here I am combining. It's a single filter that combines several different fields values from different metrics, so not metrics or dimensions that we are filtering. For example, we are combining here the accounts type filters with the industries and with the opportunity type in a single filter right here. So it's a single filter that combines all of the values, and you can build this or in the recipe or directly within your query, and select and filter by the values right here. Now you're filtering by account type equals to customer. Now equals to partner. Now you're filtering by industry equals banking. And as you can see, we have error right here, and we're going to discuss why. So since how did I achieve this? First of all, this is not a global filter. Was built from a query that you can utilize and like separate our groupings. For example, I am generating first my account type right here and account type as filter. So we have the values that we are showing. We're grouping by account type. So we have customer and partner and the account type as filter. And I'm going to show why do we need this part of the query. Now I do the same thing for the account industry and do the same thing for opportunity type. And then I union append all of these tables together into a single table, displaying all the values that we're filtering. But if I only do this and utilize my query broadcast, it will result in this error right here that we are seeing. Why? Because I am projecting the value here. Since we are projecting several different values is from different fields, I cannot label this in type. Otherwise, I would filter this only by type. And if I select an industry, there's no type equals agriculture. So this query would always result in null values. So how to overcome this? We need to
Oh, we
disable.
all have been here, Phil. We've all been here on like, why doesn't it show zero?
Exactly, exactly. because we are filtering by a field that doesn't exist in the data set. If we pass the value through the facing, you will see that this field doesn't contain a value. There's no value field in our data set, and this is why it's resulting in this error. But how does it work here? It works because here we have disabled the filtering from the facing here in the query. We have excluded those, the sorter. And if we check here, we are filtering directly through a interaction. We pass the values directly via the code right here. Let's open the advanced editor. You can see we have the as a quality data serialization, and we can select the field that comes from the filter value. Meaning, let me open the data inspector that I think you guys will, the dashboard inspector, I think you guys will understand much easier. If we select the agriculture, we will see that we have this one right here. Look at the query, the original query. We are selecting the value, the field called value, and saying it's equals to the filter value. The value is account industry, and the filter value is agriculture. So this is why it works, because we pass two different values, first the filter and then the filter value into the same query with the as equality. This is a very powerful data manipulation tool. Is one of my favorites because it allows you to filter regardless if you have a single selection or no selection at all. Here we can filter based on a single selection, multiple selections, or no selection at all. The as equality um, uh, data serialization. And for the last one that I don't want to take much more of the time. Here, I'd like to present you one of the easiest things that we can do with the tooltip. That's also with inserting a view within the tooltip, because inserting views within the tooltip
Oh, I love this. I love
allows
this
you
so
go on
much.
allows you to create a brand new visualization without consuming or scrolling your dashboard screen up and down or sideways. You can see the data whenever you hover, and only the relevant data. And you can achieve this through two things through sorry by two ways. One is inserting a visualization. You can insert a visualization or a table within your tooltip. The other way is inserting a component. And the advantage of utilizing a component, let me refresh this. The advantage of utilizing a component is this. If you click and open, you can select the page of the component that you want to display. If you hover here, you can also switch the visualization and the page of the component that you want to display. And I hope you guys enjoyed the meeting, and thank you. Those are my tips.
I
That was
love
awesome.
this. And
Me
you know,
too.
it just reminds me of the old days, Sayantani. So when Wave was the big thing before they kind of moved over into the Tableau sphere, and sorry, I still call it Wave like the olden days. I made a Christmas tree one time on here. Like, you can really do some interesting visuals and just in general fun stuff because users sometimes need some fun stuff. Um, but this, you remember we used to have carousel. We used to
Mhm.
kind of have like the little teaser. I like this idea because you could technically put like all your variations of your different charts in this chart and then just have your categories along the top or the side, right? You could make this almost into a menu.
Yeah,
I think this actually gives
it
me
is
some ideas
amazing.
for Tableau too. But now I'm jealous because now I want to go back in and make this in CRMA.
Thank
So,
you.
so your
This was
task with
amazing.
this, Sayantani, you have to make this for me. Can you do that?
Philip is going to make it for you.
Well, he already did. I want to see your data in that. No, that's great. So for everybody on here, this is why we're all data people, right? Oh, my video's not. By the way, this is not a data center. I'm old enough to remember Tron. So I'm going to be in here like throwing balls around and stuff. But for everybody on here, you're kind of either a data person or you're not. Like, people don't tend to use CRMA or Tableau when they don't like those things, right? So don't be bound to what you're told to do at work. Don't be an order taker. Like, experiment and see what you can do, because the data talks to you. The users talk to you. You should be able to see how that data behaves and just keep building upon that. And the only way you do that is by trying new scary things. You only get to be new once. It's a privilege. So I'm blown away, because I've been doing this since 2014, working with these products. And I'm like, you and Roman both showed me two things today that are essential, but also kind of lost arts. So the art of just playing with the product and seeing what you can build, right? And making the product work for you, not the product dictating what you do with it, right?
Mhm. So I
Precisely.
love what Sophia just posted. You're helping us look good in front of stakeholders. Yes,
Yes.
you are. Thank you, Philip. Thank you, Roman. You are the
HTTP
best.
matters.
Yep, yep. Okay,
Always
I'm
count
going
on
to
me.
take, we can always count on you, always. Okay, I'm going to share my screen if I can find it again.
Is this Mark's slides?
Mark's slides I'll do last. But yes, Mark has sent in 5 slides.
We get to present as the ghost of Mark.
Okay, taking time into consideration, I may not show these in CRM Analytics, but I have it all here, so should be easy enough to go through them. Okay, the first one. We're going to go through high performance data preparation, SAQL logic, and UX patterns. Some of this will match up with what Phil already said. He knows what I'm talking about because he was part of what I have prepared. Okay, first, the ELT foundation. For anyone who doesn't know what ELT is, it's extract, load, transform. There is another version of this, which is extract, transform, and load. So, two things CRM Analytics does both very well, and I keep changing between them. Thanks, Lauren. Okay, recipe. So, something that keeps happening and we keep getting asked is, where do you filter and how do you make things run faster? The best way for recipes is filter early. What it does is it reduces the volume, and that downstream your transformations take lesser time to run. So filter early as much as possible. There are times you cannot filter early, but try doing it as soon as possible. Drop columns. The more number of columns you have, the heavier it is to create the final data set. So drop columns if not needed. Linear data set takes much less time to create the data set and do the transformations. Last but not the least, derived metadata, as Roman was saying, and somewhere I think someone else also pointed out, do your calculations as much as Jen was saying, do your calculations as much as possible in the recipes for those which are possible. For things that are not possible, of course, you have your dashboards and lenses to do it. But what happens if you derive your metadata in recipe is when you are running in browser, it reduces the runtime. So I know most of the things take a few seconds to load, but when you have millions of rows running, currently I have use cases where I'm running millions of rows and it is running linear regression on those millions of rows. It takes time. It takes about 10 seconds to load the dashboard in those cases. But to prevent it, the only way to do the reverse is if you go through it in in the recipe. But again, I cannot do linear regression in recipes, so it's balance between where you want to do what, and we're going to talk about it a little later. Okay, next we are going to talk about the query engine, which is SAQL. We have been hearing about SAQL. Anyone new here? It's Salesforce Analytics query language. It's for advanced data manipulation and visualization logic, but it's awesome. You have seen the kind of things Phillip and Roman have been showing for the last hour. So yeah, we all love doing this there. Few things that keep coming up. One is called fill. Let's say you have dates and you're missing a couple of months in between. If you're looking at a chart, those months will not show up, they will be dropped off. So let's say you don't have March and April, you will have January, February, and then it is going to jump to May. And anyone looking at the chart will not realize immediately that you don't have 2 months there. If you add fill in there in the logic, immediately you will have March and April put in, and then someone will realize that, oh, actually we are missing data, and those will become zeros. It's an awesome trick to have when you are looking at a chart, especially bar charts and column charts. It's super easy to figure out what is missing if you use fill. QLS. We have had this issue multiple times since the days of Wave, and Jen, Phillip, Roman, you guys are very well aware. Saving grace has always been using QLS, or as I like calling it, nullpocalypse, because instead of apocalypse, because if you have a null value somewhere, you can coalesce it to be 0, or you can coalesce it if it is a number field, or you can coalesce it to be, let's say, called customer in Philip's example. So if you have nulls in using coalesce, it can very easily merge into a field that you want. Coalesce is also used when you are grouping multiple things together, multiple streams together, but that's a common use case. The other use case is default values in SAQL. And it need not be SAQL, it can be just the compact form formula field as well, but you can do this. It's easy. Last but not the least, under forecasting, time series. I love time series. It fills in the gap. So once you have fill, then you can use time series to fill in that gap. And the reason I like time series is multifold. One, it fills in the gap. Two, because it is using Holt Winters, and you can look it up. It takes into account seasonality. What it does is it just doesn't fill up the gaps. It also tells you what the predicted value should have been based on the previous data. So in that case, it becomes also a QA tool. Now I can say that, okay, my prediction per time series would have been 1,000, but I am getting a value of 100, which is not right in that case, and maybe the data is missing or there is something else. Yep, Pete has always been telling us about coalesce.
I've had multiple people over the years tell me like coalesce is such a savior, and I use coalesce a lot in regular SQL because you can make, if you combine a whole bunch of data sets or you do a union, you use coalesce for the fields that don't have any value in that field, or even maybe don't have that field at all. You can use coalesce to say, okay, only show the values, and everything that doesn't have a value, just put a 0, okay?
Yep. It's also very useful when you have, let's say, 5 different columns and you want a sum or an average of it. If it is null, it is going to put a null at the very end. So if you do coalesce 0, that then becomes an actual number. So you're not showing to clients that it is 0, you're showing it as null, but you still get the average because it's treating it as 0.
Oh yeah, how many of us have been in that position where you get all done working with this huge data set and then the totals there's nothing there because one of those data sets, the word null was in there instead of
Correct. Yep.
Yeah,
That's
it just
an excellent use case for Coalesce.
one string in a number field and you don't have a total at all. So
Correct.
coalesce is great for that one too.
Yep.
Like,
Coalesce saves the day every day. Okay. Window functions and rankings. We have seen a lot of window functions, but I like doing window functions a lot because one, you have running totals. You can do team performance using running totals. You can do a lot of things with running totals. Dynamic rankings is something I have been using more and more nowadays because row number and or rank when you are doing top 10, let's say, regions, top 10 products. One reason being row number puts a number on each of the rows, so it will be 1 2 3 4 5 irrespective of two values being same or not. Rank, on the other hand, if there are two numbers which are exactly the same, it is going to say 1 2 2 then 4. So there's a difference between row number and rank, but I like both. So it's a toss up between where you want to use which one. uh, and
Sayantani,
last, mhm.
can you give me the layman version of window function? Because it's not like your Windows operating system, right? So in
No,
CRMA
no.
terms, what is
So
a window?
window function, another way of putting it is comparative or compare relative. All of those, compute relative in data flows, compute relative in recipe and window functions, it's all the same things. Instead of taking every single row of data separately, now you are saying I'm grouping by the account type. And once I'm grouping by the account type, show me, and let's say the date column, tell me how much, just give me a running total or give me a percentage difference from the previous one, or tell
You're
me
opening
how.
a window within your data set to a different way of
Correct.
looking at the data.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Multiple ways. It's basically partitioning depending on what you're looking at. And the last one is, of course, you can do percentage of the total, which is also, you don't need to technically do SAQL because it is available in the compact version. But yes, all of these exist and they're super easy to use and should be used. The other thing that Philip and Rowan pointed out, the reason I like doing these in the data set or in the dashboard, other than and not in the recipe, is you can still filter to a certain time period or to certain accounts and not be dependent on what is there in the data set. Okay, architectural strategy. I have very recently started saying we are all data architects, especially if we are doing recipes and data flows and things like that, because ETL, ELT, they are data architecture. Please don't let people say you are just an analyst or someone, because these are architecture. You are developing things, you are architecturing all of this. So, the way I put it is the ghost is in the machine. It's hidden steps. Philip had just shown you part of the hidden steps. And I love using hidden steps a lot because they make the dashboard look better and not create more trouble and not too much heavy querying happening in the front end. So the hidden steps, they are easy when you are doing complex SAQL logic like Philip showed with all his sortings. They are part of the data model, but little different because now they are dashboard based. Then it's also the modular logic because you are doing it in the UI without breaking all the logic, and your widgets that people see in the front end, if they're exploring or anything, is now clean, it's refined. It does not contain too much of data or too much of unnecessary things hidden inside it. The third one is speed advantage. You are bypassing a lot of UI faceting just by using that, as Philip was showing. You just click a button and it shows up. You don't have to click 5 different things to come up to a single result. Uh, you can do multi data set data bridge. This I use almost most of my dashboards nowadays have a multi-data set, and I use this as a data bridge because let's say I have a data set for the total amount, and I have a data set with accounts, and I have another data set with opportunities. I can simply filter for X amount of data and take those accounts, filter the other data set which is on opportunities to only those accounts which match that total amount for the accounts, and now I have a very clean final version without doing too much of work behind it. So that's one of the ways I like using it. And part of that, as Philip again showed, as equality, super 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 useful to use as equality. uh, by the way, all of these things that I'm saying, you can find them in Ricky's blog. It's called salesforceblogger.com. She has 8 different uh, blogs written only on bindings, which are now called interactions. But yes, there are 8 different blogs that anyone wants to learn about uh, bindings in detail. Go to
Praise Ricky.
yes, absolutely.
Praise
Always
Ricky.
praise reading. Yep. Okay. You also have no explicit connections required in this case, and I'm going to show you what I mean by that in a second. Okay. The visual jitter. So it reduces that. Now there's a static set hidden somewhere, as Philip was showing. You don't see it overall in the dashboard anymore. It's somewhere hidden in the queries. No one needs to know it's hidden or that it exists. Everything is filtering on its own. So to the front end user, it's magic. For you, there's things behind the scene. You don't need to know about it. That's how useful it is. Few things that I have used them for. One is executive storytelling. So you can say, let's say I'm going to use Philip's example of you take the account type and then you say X amount, and then so all of this can be basically a string where you say filter to filter one, whatever you have selected from there, cell filter one binding is the next one, which is the amount. Then within brackets, you can put the difference from all the calculations ahead of target. So basically, you're creating an executive lens right in front of people, and that tells a much better story than doing anything else because now it's a sentence, it's readable, people understand it right off the bat. NLG, in short, is, well, it's too much to write, so I didn't write it. It's natural language generation logic, which is numbers to string, which is awesome because sometimes we need to convert the numbers to string, string to numbers. All of those exist. Two strings, these are excellent use cases when we are doing real time things. One of those I did yesterday, which is creating a from date to date. So you simply do it behind the scene in a static field, take a text widget, and then add it in there as to what kind of number to string. Sorry, I was doing a epoch date to convert to a string, but only using MMM, which means the first 3 letters of the month, then then the year. So it's small, it's hidden, but as people are filtering automatically, that text widget changes without anything else being present. Uh, Similarly, you can do personalized UI. I just gave you one example of that. You can do address people by their name as soon as they log in. There's an article in Help Docs. I need to find it. It's by Jeff Rothman. He actually had showed, and by the people who don't know Jeff Rothman, Roman and Philip definitely know, and of course Jennifer. Jeff used to run the CRM Analytics meetup with us in Chicago. He is now part of the data cloud. He runs data cloud from Salesforce now, so he has gone to the other side of it. But Jeff has an article on how to use the logged in user and then show their name on dashboards. It's amazing. If you want something like that, you can do their name, their role, their region, whatever you have in the data set, and you can pop it up there. And I do know there are people who like seeing their names on the dashboards. So have been asked to do that. Okay, now, yeah, that's true. He's too big. Okay, entitlement and security logic, where to do what. For maintenance, our standard predicates are hard-coded in the metadata, which is in the recipe. If you're doing hidden steps, it's JSON logic, it's dynamic. Granularity is fixed by hierarchy, as opposed to if you're doing a hidden step, it's contextual. You can switch it up, as Phillip was showing. You can do your query overhead. It's on every row when you're doing a predicate kind of thing. It's on every row of data. Whereas if you're using it in the hidden step, it's one-time initial filter and you're done. Also, you can save views in CRM Analytics if you don't know, and then it is always going to run on that view, and you can update the views if you want. So it's awesome. External syncs. So for standard predicates and recipes, you need Salesforce roles and syncs. If you're doing hidden step, like showing the name of a person or things like that, it's live mapping to the logged in user, which is the user ID. Okay, we have 10 minutes and I have a few more sessions to go through. So dynamic UI and JSON bindings. We already spoke about data selection. Phillip spoke about it. Roman spoke about it. So cells, columns, rows, they are awesome to use. Serialization, also Phillip spoke about it. He showed as equality, as string. So I'm not going to go through them. UI injection, which is, we just spoke about a few of them. One part of visual intelligence is dynamic colors and labels. So you can use something like this, where color is cell, step name, selection, put a hex value, and I have used a lot of this to do coloring in the dashboards, especially if you're doing color columns that are colored as a reference. Using a color column makes it super easy to do this. You can do not just colors, you can also do icons. You can format them as to add a, for certain columns, you can say add a dollar sign. If they're selecting percentage, then change it to percentage. You can do all of this. It's super easy to do if you know bindings. But yes. Okay. Contextual insights. Of course, Phillip just showed. We love doing component tooltips. We all love it. It's a mini dashboard, so it helps you exactly what Phillip showed. It's also the beauty of doing clean visualizations. So cross-data visualization is simple, it's easy, it's clean. You are not showing too much data upfront on the dashboards.
Sayantani, I want to put in a little note there that as I've had to migrate over to working with Tableau, I don't do any design. I put my data straight on the page like it is the olden days, right? It is white, it is gray. And yeah, I've never had a complaint about, of course, I work more with log data, right, than sales data, but people can get what they need really fast, right? Save your fancy for the people who want fancy. I always make a secondary dashboard, and even in CRMA, I make a fancy one and I make a plain one because users have preferences. Some people just want to get in and get their data. Other people want the dashboard to do all the work for them. So there's no harm in making two versions of anything that people use, because then you can accommodate everyone.
Yep. Okay, repeater widget is whoever had come up with the idea of repeater widget. I keep thanking them forever. It's amazing. You just have a card layout, and someday you're going to hear about card layouts and from Jennifer and me and how we met on card layouts.
I want to build my carousel again.
So card layouts Jennifer had created when repeater widget did not exist. So that is how old we both are. So repeater widgets, same thing, just put in a text, number, chart, and then how many number of accounts you want to show. You can show it. Repeater widget currently also has sorting inside it, which is amazing. You can color them. You can do a lot of beautiful things with repeater widgets. And I keep doing it almost every day. You can also actually filter it to, let's say, 5 or 10, and then you are limiting how much people can see. Uh, Input widgets are what if simulations. So it's basically a number widget that you have now. You can just simply say, you can provide a range to it. You have to provide a range to it, depends on what you want, and then people can just put in any number they want, either for filtering or doing calculations. It's super awesome to do input widgets. Faceting and forecasting, I am not going to go through these because Philip just did. And as equality is part of the faceting and broadcasting part of it. Now, if you have, let's say, 5 different data sets and you need them all to be connected, there's something called connect data sets within the dashboard. If you use that, you can connect the fields you want to be connected. So filtering, let's say, the account type from 3 different data sets will happen by clicking just one filter. So that's the beauty of using connect data sets. Okay, then the hashes that we can escape. You have limits on apex steps, XMD actions, and all of those things. So we are bypassing all the limits that exist. You can do real-time SAQL, and you can look at the XMDs, the call logs that Jennifer was just talking about. All of those things exist. I don't think we have access to a dashboard XMD, but we do have access to some of the XMDs when you're doing change sets and things like that. So that's there. Offset is something I love, especially for pagination of massive tables. Similar to limit, you can just say offset 100, offset 2000, whatever you want, and that works. It's superb. You
And
don't
for
have
anyone in the audience who doesn't know what XMD is, that's the metadata. So you know how Salesforce has metadata that's kind of in between all of your tables that tells it how to talk to each other. CRMA has its own metadata, and it's in the XMD format. And if you're brave enough, you can go in there and tweak it from the back end. But we try not to do that too much these days.
yeah, but it exists. Then you can use all the advanced logics that we have all been speaking about from all of these. Multi-value field, this is something that Pete Lyons speaks about a lot in his videos on YouTube. It's basically taking a multi-value field and converting it into strings. It's called serialization. It's good to use. I don't have too much use case because we don't use cases too much for these dashboards. But if you do, it's great to use for there. And then this is what I was talking about, when to use recipe versus SAQL. So cardinality, recipe is for the heavy lifting, millions of rows. SAQL, as we were saying, it's the magic. So low aggregated segments. Logic type is again global, whereas for SAQL, it's dynamic what if variables, as we were just talking about, close dates, input widgets, all those things, all the sorts that Philip showed. For maintenance, recipe is more UI based. SAQL, you do need someone who understands SAQL or PQL to do it. But even though you become an expert coder, you don't start as an expert coder. That's what I would say. UI speed, it's optimized from recipes. If you're doing a simple dashboard, it's optimized. For SAQL, as I was explaining, it's variable, especially if I'm running millions and millions of rows to do linear regressions or time series analysis. It might take a few more seconds than we would like. So the performance benchmarking is pre-calculated recipes. That takes much lesser time than standard SAQL query, a little longer. The moment we do complex SAQL plus binding, it's a little longer. That's why you calculate as early as possible, but as late as necessary. So all the examples that Philip and Roman and I have been giving you is the later part of it. Do as late as possible because we are focusing on the dashboards part of it. But before I stop, before presenting, let's go to the last one, which comes from our very dear friend, Mark. There. Okay. So, Mark, thank you for sending this to us. And slideshow, play from start. Okay, let's see. So this is what Mark sent us, and please let me know if you can see my screen. Can you see the screen?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So these are the tips from Mark. Very similar to things that we have been talking about. So stop building static dashboards, design apps. Whenever we are doing dashboards, they're usually within apps to like folders to keep things separate from mixing up. So an app is dynamic, task oriented, device appropriate, it's easy to use. And then he says, before writing a single query, define your user persona. It's really important for us to define a user persona and who's going to use it and how they want to use it, and then map their path of inquiry. And that is how, if you create the app, it works accordingly. Multi-page dashboards, they beat multiple separate dashboards. One example of it is Jen's current job. She got it because when Pages came out, she went and told Palo Alto Networks Pages exist. That's how she has a job, just by telling them Pages exist. So yes, simple things can also get you jobs. She's an example of that.
Well, to be fair to everybody on here, CRMA is a rare skill out there. I mean, we are a very, very small percentage. And so companies are desperate because it's not easy, right? You either love it or you hate it, right? So I want to definitely play on Mark's slide here and say that, if you can just follow these simple steps and you're brand new, you can make it because you're not really competing with anyone out there. That's the beauty of it, right?
Yep. So only the default landing page queries execute on load in CRM Analytics, which I love. The rest of the pages you actually have to click through, so it improves the performance. And aim to keep less than equal to 6 queries per page. It makes it faster to load. Don't make it too heavy in the beginning is what we are talking about. The biggest performance lever is offload calculated fields to recipes or data flows, as we were just talking about. Always develop in the sandbox and then run recipes in prod, because and also recipes in prod causes cascading delays for all users on the org. So yes, sometimes we find everything crashing just to know that an instance has some problem or someone somewhere is running things. So it might cause that. But you, especially when you're doing recipes, do develop it in sandbox first before you come to production. A dashboard whose only action is download data isn't leveraging CRM Analytics core value. This, I believe, truly, and I keep telling this is not a platform to download data. Yes, you can download data, but there are way too many things you can do. You can use flows, you can do mass actions, you can do row record links, which I actually have an article on or a blog on. Action buttons, there are too many of these things we can do. So designed for monitor, investigate, and act is how CRM Analytics is supposed to be used. It's not just to download all the data. There are multiple other ways of doing it. And as Mark points out, data without action is just noise. Thank you, Mark. And then he says, let the platform teach you. Build queries using the CRM Analytics UI. We were showing all of that. Toggle on SAQL. Thank you, Phillip, for showing the toggles and things. It teaches syntax, order of operations, which we again showed, and the query patterns. And, well, you don't need docs for that. And I'm going to stop sharing and open it up for everyone who are left here. Okay. Roman, you have heard from all of us.
going 100 miles an hour right now. Plus, we went an hour and a half, like nonstop on.
Yep.
It's like an autistic data dump we just did with data people here, right? Like, this is how we show we love you, by giving you all the things. So my love language is telling you how to work with data, right?
Yep.
So does anybody have a question or questions about what they saw? I know everyone's probably like, which thing am I going to build? How am I going to incorporate this? There's the data layer. There's the, how you build your dashboard, and then what's within your dashboard. There's a lot of choices here, but start small and think big. Take some simple data, count of rows, count of objects. How many do we have of each? How many people, own that object? Do your totals on your amounts. Look at what date fields to use. I always tell people, like, don't underestimate the power of IDs. Count your IDs.
Yep.
And then when you join data, count those IDs and then do your totals, because it's real easy to mess up a dashboard if you're not sorting by individual IDs on it, right? Because I've done that. I still do that sometimes. It's like, there's a request ID and a row ID and a count of records, and all those will show different numbers if you count them. So you have to figure out which one do you want to count to show your users what you're trying to convey. Yeah, amazing how it's a lost art to use IDs anymore, right?
Amanda, you have your hand up, so go ahead.
Yeah, go.
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yes,
Cool.
we can.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for all the information. I think I have a lot of questions, but that's okay. I'm just going to watch the recording a couple times. So one thing is, I am definitely not a SAQL wizard like you guys obviously are.
Me neither.
And, well, I try to build in the UI like as much as possible, and I really only break the step when I have to add in a binding. And so for like the coalesce, for example, if I am just using a compare table and I don't need to add a binding, then I'm probably not going to go in the SAQL to do and format it later, because we're big on formatting in my org. And so what I do, and like, is this best practice? Because what I do is just make another column and use that as a formula column and say coalesce like the old column and then just hide that one. But that feels so hacky. Is that really like the right way to do things if you're not in the UI?
So what I do is basically, let me see if I can open up.
Okay, I appreciate that you do that, because that's the kind of things I do. I'll just trick everyone into thinking I got the data correct.
Right? And there's like 30 columns in the table, but yeah, I mean, it works. So cool.
Okay, let me share my
Actual
screen.
data scientist, she has the training, so she does everything 100% correct. So she'll tell you how to fix that.
Okay, awesome.
Okay.
And thank you all for all the information, by the way, if I didn't say that already. I really appreciate this. It definitely levels me up.
You are most welcome. Okay. You can
You're
see
already leveled up more than most people out in the industry, so pat yourself on the back.
Yay.
So you can, this one has something called apps. So I can do this, right? And then if I go here, and I can edit this very column, and I can simply say coalesce without creating more columns. I can simply say coalesce, let's say ease of use or sentiment, right? And I can do, oh yeah, of course. So coalesce, we're just going to do first because I haven't used those columns. And first, okay. There. So you directly have it here without doing too much, without creating more and more columns and hiding them.
Okay.
So yeah, it exists directly here.
Okay.
Because you can get your fields from here.
Yeah.
And you can get your functions here. You can do it in one query without having to do multiples of those.
That is very cool. Okay, thank you.
You are most welcome.
So
Okay.
that I found really useful, and normally I would offload that into the recipe building. But from a performance perspective, what would you recommend as best practice? Doing it in a recipe or doing it on
Which
the
one?
go in a table?
Which one?
The coalesce and the compare table you just did.
Always in the recipe. Sorry, always in the dashboard. Until and unless it's a column which you are using way too many times and you have to do it multiple times. Let's say account time. If you are using it in all dashboards, then go to the recipe. If it's something you are using in a couple of dashboards or maybe 5 dashboards, instead of recipe, do it in the dashboards. At least that's what I do. Roman and Philip might have another idea.
Usually, when I try to think when it's best to utilize, is like I think like more like Sayantani, for example. Oh, are you going to utilize the same calculation, the same coalesce in all the dashboards, or only a single dashboard? Are we going to? Does it need to be static, or we need to coalesce by I don't know a couple of different selectable fields? If you
Mhm.
want a more dynamic approach, always perform on the query level in the dashboard. But if you are dealing with some static calculation that's going to be static, then you can perform on the recipe because it's going to be it will uh, withdraw
It'll
the
correct.
yeah
Phil, you
the
should
performance.
make a choose your own adventure chart for CRMA situations. Like your starting point. Does it have too many of this? Go this way.
Yeah.
Correct.
Make kind of a decision tree, right? For
Mhm.
different use cases. I thought about that, but mine would be like 1,000 long. So I'm probably not the best person to put my brain on a page. But that's a good idea, Saitani. You know we should tell Mark that. Like that'd be content for Salesforce, right? Like how do you choose something? And what are your options? I think he could make a really kick-ass
Good
presentation with
presentation.
that.
Yep, we can do that. Okay, any other questions, thoughts?
I hope everyone's brains are on fire with ideas now.
Yep,
Actually,
and we-
I thank you all so much because believe it or not, because I'm working in both products, both Tableau and CRMA. This actually gave me some ideas to go back to Tableau with, which is kind of bizarre, but I got to make it work with the tools I have. I'm that meme, right? I'm solving problems with tools that I don't have. So, I'm going back and forth between everything, trying to figure out which one does it better. So thank you. You even inspired me. And that's a rare thing these days for somebody to give me an idea because I'm usually the one who's burnt out. So I don't feel so burnt out today. Thank you.
awesome. Anders, Vitaly,
I don't have much right now. I'm just looking forward to share this with my team.
Mm-hmm.
So
Thank you.
when the recording is available, then I'll be
I will post it
passing
on
it forward.
LinkedIn.
Okay.
Should
Really?
be today or later.
We needed it in 2017. Oh, wait. No, it's more than 9 years. Oh, God. We've been doing this a long time.
Yep, Vitaly.
Not that many comments. I'll review. I kind of joined late. Sorry, I was on another call. But I definitely want to review Roman's presentation. Seems like something that I might be able to use in my development.
We all
From that, I mean, I don't. I've been doing this for quite some time, so to me, it seems like it's a basic sort of information. I don't want to punish or I don't want to say anything bad about presentations. It's all great, but some of the complexities that I find still. Number one, there is less demand in CRMA developers. Number two, compensation dropped. Number three, the platform itself has not evolved to a point where it could be utilizing as much as possible of AI to eliminate SAQL, to eliminate all the programming stuff. Because I mean, some of us are very fluent with SAQL and JSON. which is a good thing for us as a developers. But the basic stuff like font type hasn't been developed, and it's been in the ask for years.
For years. Yeah,
I
those
mean,
are things Roman is going to take back.
CRMA should have introduced something called human-centered design, which is basically introduction to a stakeholder, what it should look like. I mean, there are a number of different approaches to create a dashboard out of your existing data, but there are some basic stuff like when you log into your bank account and you're looking for a particular function or a particular tool and you can't find it because someone developed it without the knowledge of human-centered design, basic stuff, which takes up a lot of time for end user to get familiar with and utilize it often enough. I mean, there are other things. I've been working with. I'm sure Roman knows Peter Greenbaum. We've been working with the guy for I don't know 10, 11, 12 years alongside at Nomura. The first thing that came up around human-centered design, because some of the stakeholders were in London, we were in New York, and they introduced a dashboard with pink layout, which was horrible. I said, let's just use gray. Let's use, out of the box that navy background. But people have no knowledge, and CRMA should introduce something along the line of human-centered design of what the dashboard should be.
You know what I remember? We're going backwards. We had all this in the beginning. Remember when Jason Winters had the app you could put in there that had all the designs? Oh, wait, you've been around this long too, but I feel very bizarre in saying this, but I know we're in the AI age. Salesforce spends so much money putting these bells and whistles on Salesforce agents, Agentforce, whatever. I'm kind of burned out on it, to be honest.
Godspeed. I mean, it's great.
And then here we are with basic needs, basic functionality that just got kind of like the minute they acquired Tableau and started pushing Tableau.
Jen, let me stop the recording, then you can go there.
Oh yeah. Oh, sorry. Let's say something nice, but
Thank you, Phillip, Jen, Roman, everyone who joined. Thank you for the interactions. We will see you on the next one.
Yeah.
Thank you.